going to bring you through anatomy and physiology. We've got about a half hour left, and we're going to talk about bones. Then we're going to talk about the cervical spine, thoracic spine, pelvis health. And then we're going to talk about the nervous system, digestive disorders, what the spleen does, so that you go through everything.
We're a half hour?
No! We're just going to talk about bones for a half hour. Okay, so if somebody says I'm osteoporotic, you're going to go, so what? Fix that. It takes about 30 days. Come on, don't be ridiculous. You know? Yeah, we're going to solve osteoporosis pretty quick, and you're going to find out the cause of it. So, but then, Miss Jaya is going to be speaking. Cool. I would definitely not miss that. Dear, don't miss it. Okay, so you got cells that live on bones. Okay, they build up bone and they tear it down. And you need that process in order to maintain healthy bones. You need to build it up, you need to tear it down. Now this is not a normal progression. Okay, this is sick. Now what happens, let's say that you have an acidic lifestyle. Let's say you don't eat healthy food, you're not a plant-based diet. Let's say you don't drink a lot of water. Your blood's going to become acidic. Okay, and if the blood's acidic, your body really needs to maintain a really narrow pH balance. So it's going to go to the bone bank and withdraw calcium. So osteoporosis only comes from acidic blood, and the body's actually utilizing or taking away calcium, and not just calcium, but we're talking phosphorus, all these minerals. Now, let's say someone has taken an antacid. Okay, that's also going to weaken their body's ability to maintain its structure, because antacids limit mineral absorption. So how many people, and a few years ago, and they stopped this after a while, what do you want? Tums with calcium. It's what your body needs. Or Rolaids with aluminum salt. Do you remember those commercials? Yeah. Okay, what they're not telling you is that if you take Tums, you need an acidic medium in order to absorb the calcium. So it's an outright, flat out lie, okay, that you can get calcium if you're taking Tums. It makes you calcium deficient. If you've never seen the movie Thank You for Smoking, please see it. Am I the only one that's seen it? Okay, was it not cool? Okay. Most hated guy in the world, okay, a tobacco lobbyist, and he goes to speak to a group of kids, and he goes in, you know, ooh, you're bad, you're a smoker, bad, you're promoting smoking. He goes, do you want people telling you what to do? You know, no. Okay, well, this is America. We like freedom, right? Yeah, right. Okay, so it's not about smoking, it's about freedom. So shouldn't you have the freedom to smoke everywhere? Yeah! Okay, so when you look at bones, this is like the basic layout, and this is how to reverse arthritis too. All bones, two bones coming together surrounded by a joint capsule. That joint capsule has a continuous flow of fluid into that joint, and it's from the blood. So if blood isn't healthy, that fluid isn't going to be healthy, and that cartilage isn't going to get the nutrients. Okay, does that make sense?
Does that cause necrosis possibly?
Well, necrosis is dying of the bone. Okay, absolutely. It comes from toxic blood and altered nerve supply. And in fact, I could show you how to regenerate knees. There, did you miss it?
Right.
You weren't looking at me, were we? Yeah. No, I just created a negative pressure, allowed my leg to fly into the air. That allowed some fluid to get in there. Then I put a positive pressure on it to create inflammation so that it could actually regenerate tissue. Doing it right before your eyes. So what's weird is, this is alive. Okay, now when you see degeneration is a distortion of this. Okay, it's where the bone changes shape. Now bone changing shape, that's called arthritis. Now that's a misnomer. Doc, remember osteoarthritis? It's a non-inflammatory arthritis. Okay, this is how psychotic the medical world is and how we perpetuate stupid. Okay, so you learn all these different types of arthritis when you're in school. And arth means joint, itis means inflammation. So we're saying arthritis means literally joint inflammation. But osteoarthritis is a non-inflammatory inflammatory disease. And they're not going to change the name because they've been perpetuating stupid for 100 years. And so this is how the joint structure is. But see, when you look at a normal, this is a side view of a neck, normal bones are like this, okay? Now in between, you can't see it, it's a disc. And the disc is so cool, it's 80 interconnecting rings of ligament. I mean, when you're teaching anatomy, you can pass a probe, which kind of looks like a pen, right through the bone with no effort whatsoever. Bones are very, very porous. You can't beat it into a disc with a hammer. It's that cool, it's that tough. And so this disc has a horrible blood supply. So what happens is, if there's an alteration of movement, the body is going to increase the tone of that area so that the nerves that's located in the spinal cord, because the spinal cord's important, right? Like Christopher Reeve, did he hurt his legs? Did he hurt his arms? He didn't hurt any of that? How come he couldn't move them? He hurt this right there. That's called a hangman's fracture. If you break this little bone off here, it shuts off the cardiac and respiratory center. It's like turning off a light switch. So this is like really, really, really important. That's like 4 reallys. Okay, so if anything injures this area, the body's going to tighten up the muscles to protect or to limit motion. However, if you limit motion, the disc doesn't get its nutrients. Okay, does that make sense so far? Okay, if the disc doesn't get its nutrients, then the disc is going to get smaller, and that's going to be unstable, right? So what the body does is it lengthens or gets the surface area longer in order to stabilize the structure. Okay? So arthritis isn't degenerative, even though it's called degenerative disc disease. Okay, remember, we want to perpetuate stupid. Okay, so it's not inflammation. Okay, it's actually protective. If we were smart, another 100 years, we're going to say this is an adaptive to protect the body. It's actually important. Now, this bone spur, and that's what they're going to say, oh yeah, it's a bone spur in the neck that hurts. It's completely not pathogenic. It's not a problem. It's actually vital. And this bone spur is going to go away once you regenerate the disc. Now you can regenerate the disc. Why? Because it's alive. Remember I was telling about the orthopedic surgeon? I had to walk him through. No, doc, it's alive. It's just screwed up. Okay, it didn't get its nutrients. We cause inflammation there that's going to regenerate the disc, and the bone spurs are going to go away. There's a law, and it's a law of like gravity, but it's a law of science. It's called Wolff's Law. Bones lay down where it's needed, resorb where it's not. Wolff's Law. Bone is laid down where it's needed, resorb where it's not. And everybody knows that, because if you put an arm in a cast and don't use it, the arm gets a little thin. Okay, the bone gets thin. You put an astronaut in space for a couple of months, if they did jumping jacks, their legs would fracture, because the bones aren't being used, so the body absorbs it. So this is a protective mechanism by the body, and it's reversible. Arthritis is reversible. However, how come the medical world won't see it? What do they give for joint pain? Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. Okay, if you got tight muscles, what are they going to give you? A neurotoxin called a muscle relaxant that actually attacks the base of the brain. I mean, if it's really bad, we're going to give you a steroid to shrink the swelling. And it's like, really? You can't possibly be that stupid. Okay, now here's a 95-year-old gal, absolutely no fractures. And what's wild is, see this bone spur there coming off to the side? That means that is unstable. Now she has a bend in her spine off to the side, and the body in its wisdom actually stabilized it. Okay, then it's kind of fun too, because she had a lot of bowel and bladder disorders, and even though these joints look like they're fused, they're actually not. So we ended up doing she can, concentrate on her bowels. I mean, so the body is adaptive. And when we look at this, I was doing this as a comparison, but we're talking 95-year-old, 80-year-old, and the bones remain healthy and strong. The problem is, can you see they look a little bit thin, like a little bit lighter in color? Okay, that's normal. Now, they had to come up with a term. Have you ever heard of osteopenia? Yep. It's not a medical term, should never have been used, should never have been told to the public. It's insane. See, when they came up, and this was in Rome, 1992, they had these scans where they were looking at the density of bone. And they knew what normal was, they knew what abnormal was, so they had to have an area in the middle. So they just call it like not thick bone, so they called it osteopenia. Now they use it as a fear factor in order to generate money. See, imagine if you had, because they're comparing everybody's bones to a 30-year-old person, a 30-year-old woman. And that's the highest density of bone. So if you're not the density of a 30-year-old woman, you're considered abnormal. Nobody is. It's supposed to get thin, because it's like how the body adapts. I mean, if you want the thinnest boned human being on our planet, it's a Northern European female. If you want the thickest, heaviest boned human being on the planet, it's an African male. Okay, that's just it. It's not pathology in either respect. Okay, it's just how normal is. Except remember, in the homeostatic model, we're deciding what normal is, we're telling you what abnormal is, and we're going to give you a drug to fix it. Now, what's interesting, so they're not gauging on ethnicity, they're not gauging on anything. And some of the things that change, I mean, steroid therapy, if you've ever taken a thyroid medication, that's going to change bone density. Antacids, that's going to change bone density. I mean, there's so many different chemicals out there aside from, just not healthy nutrients. Now, so let's say that you had these scans. Okay, now these scans, they're going to check bone density. And you just came up with a drug, okay, to make bones look better on a scan. Because remember the osteoblast and osteoclast? Bones lay down where it's laid or resorb where it's not. So you got these bones that are laying it down, resorbing it back, laying it down, resorbing it back. They have this drug called a biphosphate drug, or Fosamax, and it stops that build up and lay down. So it appears better on the scan. However, there's no scans in America. So this company that developed this biphosphate drug, they bought the company that built the scans. They went to the government and they said, okay, look, we're part of the Bone Institute, which actually was headed by Jeremy Allen. It's a no-profit organization. It was his desk. He made this shit up. He says, yes, I'm a Bone Institute. We're going to lobby Congress. Don't you want to protect women? Don't you want to protect women? Yes, of course. Medicare should cover to check bone. And so you went from a problem that had nothing. There was never broken bones or osteoporosis or anything before this started, before this came up with inventing this disease. And it is kind of fun. So you went from 77,000 to 34 million. So does that sound like a massive epidemic?
Yeah.
It's actually a massive misdiagnosis. Because if you take this drug that limits that bone production, the build up and tear down, you actually increase fracture rates in 5 years. You increase fracture rates. So you give it to somebody, you say, yeah, your bones could break, but I'm going to give you a drug that's guaranteed to increase your fracture rates in 5 years. Is there like a disconnect there? What's that cute gal that does the bone commercials? She was the flying nun? No, Sally Fields, yeah. Yeah, and so when you look at it,
really like me.
So when you look at Ayurvedic medicine, when diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. When diet is correct, medicine is no need. And it's true. The body's always going to be building up and tearing down bone. I mean, this is absolutely essential. This is what we hear in practice. I'm walking along. Has anyone ever heard that they fell down and broke their hip?
Yeah.
That's not what happens. Okay? It breaks, then you fall down. Okay? And it breaks right along the femur head up here, right there. And this is what we'll see. We'll take a picture of somebody's pelvis, and there's a really cool sign. It's called shaft of wheat sign, where you get these little tiny lines coming up. That's like, holy moly, your hip is close to breaking. Okay, what medications are you on? You notice you don't say, are you taking any medications? Because this is completely stupid response. The body would never weaken something. If your legs are broken, you're going to get eaten by a lion. So this is something that can't happen in normal human beings. So there has to be a chemical assault on the body. Does that make sense? And how long does it take to fix? It takes about 30 to 45 days to regenerate the bones. So if you got a bone that's this hard, what's harder, concrete or bone? My God, look at that. I mean, we know this, okay? It's just that the disconnect here, That is from weak bones? No, we got to just fix that. Yeah, we're looking at multiple studies, and it's femur fractures, weakening of the bones, inflammation of the bone, osteonecrosis. Necrosis means death. It just doesn't make any sense. So milk, does milk do a body good? No, raw milk is actually pretty good because the fats are healthy. But if you get the standard milk with the bovine growth hormone that we can't sell in Europe, that's when it becomes toxic. So this right here, you don't need milk to have healthy bones. If you have raw milk, it's actually okay for you, but it shouldn't be a staple part of your diet. Okay, does that make sense? And then here, yeah, oh God, thyroid. We're going to cover thyroid a lot, so I just want to blow through. But you've got two things that regulate your metabolism. You've got the thyroid and you've got the adrenals, and there has to be a balance. When one's up, the other's down, or when one's down, the other's up. Now, this is tough because all medications are going to slow down the thyroid. That slows down bone production. So many people today are misdiagnosed with a hypothyroid. Their thyroid's not working right. And that's not true, because anything that inflames the body, so this means any medication, any toxic food that causes the body to inflame, it actually causes the thyroid to appear low. So how many people are misdiagnosed with a low functioning thyroid? 100%. How do we know that? If you have a pet in here, can you raise your hand? Anybody have a pet? Okay, good. What was his thyroid level like? See? Nothing screws up on the body. There is no thyroid issue. It's impossible to have an organ-specific disease. Does that make sense? It's impossible. But these doctors sound like they really friggin' know stuff. You know, we just did a test. We found your thyroid stimulating hormone was high. We found your T3 and T4 low. You have a problem with your thyroid. Okay, cool. What drug should I take?
We're still brainwashed.
I know, but luckily this group isn't. Okay, when I speak to the group next door, whoa boy. So when you look at this, what kind of stuff lowers the thyroid? Because this is ultimately where the bone is. Birth control. That's also called estrogen. Okay, or if you have endocrine disruptors. You know, anybody have, where is it? Yeah, this is cool. This is a good beverage. It's called water, but it's placed in an endocrine disrupting container. Now, I'm thinking the benefits of having good hydration as opposed to not being able to get anything in glass on the boat, you know, you got to balance it out. But it's going to lower my thyroid. Okay. Now, liver toxicity, fluoridated water, pesticides, I mean, this is the stuff that lowers it. So nobody has a low functioning thyroid, they just have a toxic deficient environment. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Now, yeah, bone health, okay, good. Now, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. This is, again, one of the last slides for bone health, but when we look at it, and we're talking ibuprofen, Motrin, Aleve, okay, all of these drugs, the increased blood pressure accelerates osteoporosis, decreases production of blood cells. So now if you decrease production of blood cells, is the blood healthy or sick? Sick, because it can't do its job. So blood pressure has to increase. So all of these things, now we know liver toxicity because the leading cause of liver disease is Tylenol. That's why you don't want to give Tylenol to a kid. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, now it creates folic acid deficiency. What's that? That's birth defects. That means that the kids, if the mom is taking joint pain because she's sore because her body's changing, and she actually takes a Tylenol or Advil or she can't sleep, and the doctor says, what? Tylenol PM, best thing we can do for you. You're going to get good sound sleep. Of course, it will create birth defects by lowering folic acid. I mean, we don't do this stuff anymore, okay? No more drugs. Any question about any drugs? Proton pump inhibitors, these weaken bones. Of course, it's going to lower the acid content. When we talk in depth about digestion, and it's not one journal. We're looking at the Journal of the American Medical Association, Canadian Medical Journal, Science News, Osteoporosis International, British Medical Journal. See, anybody that's still prescribing this, remember how we're looking at that allopathic model? Okay, just wondering if that. Okay, we know that the science doesn't back it up. No, I've got indigestion. My doctor gave me this drug. Well, sorry, he's. Now, when we talk about this, not only is fluoride bad, but fluoride, in point of fact, fluoride causes more human cancer death and causes it faster than any other chemical. Now, what you might not know, and this is tough because in America, and we got people from all around the world here, but in America, they still fluoridate the water. Okay.
Sure, that's why.
Yeah, it's mass medication of the population without control of the dosage. Here. None of that makes sense. Okay, it's completely ridiculous. The problem is, let's say that you got the water filter, but you're going to do the Minute Maid orange juice. That's fluoridated. Okay, you're going to do the Diet Coke or the Classic Coke, or you want to be healthy, so you get your kids the right stream. Okay. I know. It's bad. You got to get but besides, if you're going to get beer, get the dark beer. It's higher in minerals. It's better for you. Okay, so this stuff, I mean, it's toxic. So pretty much when you're looking for bone health, if man makes it, don't eat it. Okay, and if it comes in an aluminum or plastic container, know that you're running a risk. So if you're going to drink water, you got to eat a lot of fresh fruit. So it's, there's balance there. Yeah, but your body is designed to be healthy. It really is. Vitamin D is good for you. Sunblock is bad for you. The best sunblock that you can utilize is coconut oil. It has an SPF of about 6. So take a little jar of coconut oil when we're in Mexico tomorrow. Go by the stores, get a big jar of coconut oil so you can put it on in Jamaica and Haiti. If it washes off, it's still cool, you just put on some more. Okay. The standard sunblock is toxic and poisonous. If you get the waterproof sunblock, it has nanoparticles that actually get underneath the skin that really will cause skin cancer. Skin cancer does not come from too much sunlight exposure. Skin cancer comes from toxic fats underneath that layer of skin. Because the human animal is one of the few animals that has a layer of fat underneath the skin. So this right here, vitamin D, is really good for you. Yeah, this one here, I should have wiped out farm salmon. Farm salmon's poisonous. You don't want to have farm salmon ever, ever, ever. But wild salmon, these are good sources of vitamin D, but the sun is the best. The sun is the best. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so let's get healthy bone formation with green leafy vegetables, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. I mean, it sounds weird to think that you can just eat normal food and be healthy. I know that's a shocker, but these kind of things. It's like last night for dinner I had, 2 Caesar salads with a ton of anchovies. The small fish are really, really good. Yeah. Yeah, so this one too, any type of exercise. And like bouncing exercise is like really good. So like right now, I'm actually building my bones. Want to? No. No, you're decreasing and increasing pressure. Those little tiny stupid jumping thingies, they really, really, really work. The little vibration machines at the gym, they really, really work. They do. It's neat because this stuff right here, it seems too simple that the minimal amount of exercise, detoxing your body, sunlight's good, vitamin D is good. It's like, really, can this, honest to God, be the solution for osteoporosis? And can causing inflammation of the joints actually reverse arthritis? And are all the doctors wrong except for Dr. Bergman? Yes.